Hello, thank you so much for coming to the Sashiko Live Streaming on Thursday night. This is Atsushi. Let me check the audio first. It's kind of slow today. Come on. I hope it's on. Just a second, okay. Allez? Oh, there we go. All right. Thank you so much for coming to Sashiko Live Streaming. This is the live streaming where I talk about Sashiko while doing the Sashiko stitching. This is not a lecture. This is not a tutorials. I'm not gonna do anything over the camera specifically. So I will not answer the question about techniques or specific patterns or something I have to stop stitching. But other questions that I can answer while stitching are very much appreciated. I brought some topics today, but if you have any questions, I would like to prioritize that. I have a few announcements. One announcement is that I will offer the Sashiko Japan tour in 2025, sometimes in fall at this moment. I don't know exactly when. I will send out, I probably said it last week that I would send it this week, but I will send out the email soon about asking when about the Japan tour in 2025. So if you are interested in that, please check the description area. And I do now have the more details about Sashiko Japan Tour 2024, which is fully booked. But similar to the previous Japan tour, I opened up this space for those who are interested in those, yet not ready to come to Japan yet with us. I will share as much information as possible on that one platform. So if you could consider getting a little bit of support for us, that'd be really appreciated. And lastly, there are workshop planned in 2025, starting from February to April at this moment. Anyway, I don't really plan to offer so many workshops in 2025 at this moment. So if you have any perfect timing for you to start stitching, please check those description. Okay, so those are the announcement. Welcome to the Thursday night stitching. Thank you. Okay, that's all about announcement. So I will shift the camera to the regular thing. It's pretty much the same stitching. I plan to have this for the, I don't know if I explained this before, but the goal for this is to have the 4 patterns together completed by the middle of November. It's almost there, so it's not gonna be, it's gonna be fine, but I will have those 4 patterns stitched before when I go to Japan in the middle of November, so that I can drop those things off at my mother's house, Keiko's house, and she will make one a big, I think it's gonna be a jacket or tapestry. I don't know exactly what, but she can mix these with others who would stitch the same thing, and we'll make one big, kind of like a friendly quilt theme thing. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. I was doing the shippo, and I don't know if I would do this pattern shippo in the live streaming, unless I kind of run out of time. So I probably don't do the shippo in the live streaming because I have to do a little bit focus on that. I have to focus on this more, so I might not be able to talk like I do with the other patterns. But this is like in the process. It's kind of creepy if I look at it like this, but it's a process of making a shippo patterns, which is like that. So it's simply the combination of different circles. And well, if I'm done with the Asanoha patterns, I might do that in the live streaming. At the same time, I might do that outside of the live streaming too. So, all right, let me start. Where do I start? That's a very good question. Where should I start? Where do I start? Mm. これはん Okay. I brought a topic related to the previous live streaming I did last week. I listened to the previous live streaming several times to see what was a good message. Like, I think that was Sue told me that some of the things I said was kind of clear, that she understood some questions that she didn't get it for a while. But I watched that live streaming back. I could not really get it. What was it? But I kind of guessed what would that be. And that is the topic of product oriented versus process oriented. At the same time, if we categorize Sashiko into two big category, product or result and process, which means doing, then we will probably have another misunderstanding because focusing on process itself is not going to explain everything. So I would add, which I wrote on the Instagram, I would add the goal and vehicle into those two categories so that we can kind of have the full element to explain what's going on. The goal and vehicle can be rephrased means and end, but I would prefer to say that the vehicle as the kind of vehicle to move forward, to move us from A to B, and then goal is just the goal itself. But yeah, that's... I'm still wondering what was that message that I could deliver. But it is true that a lot of Sashiko today we can find in English are very much focused on the result, how it looked, how it looks. And there's nothing wrong with that, but there are something missing. And when I say there's something missing, they may think that it's the process oriented. And if I say process oriented, they may say that, well, I get it. I do Sashiko for the purpose of relaxing, so I focus on the process. That phrase itself is very true, but that's not exactly what I'm trying to convey. When one has the purpose for the process itself, then something shifts. That's not something I would like to explain as the core of Sashiko. Once again, there's nothing wrong with doing Sashiko for the purpose of something. But when we define something as ordinary, I believe that it is going to have some aspect of not having any purpose. Good evening. Thank you so much for coming. So there are two big category of people in Sashiko, and it can be any other field for the matter. It can be anything. It can be quilting. It can be knitting, pottery, any drawings, I guess. Like literally anything. There are two kind of people. I mean, there are many more kind of people, but if we categorize the what tendency they have in that two groups, we can kind of categorize them. One is the group who enjoys doing it, and the other group is those who enjoy the result of doing it. And that result can be like tangible result. At the same time, it can be intangible one. So in Sashiko, there are two big category of people. One category is those who really enjoy just doing stitching, even if that stitching does not bring anything back to them. They keep doing Sashiko because they like to do it. I mean, including that they have to do it, but I don't think there are not that many people who have to do Sashiko at this age. So I would probably be able to summarize it to the who choose to do it because they like stitching. And I think many of the Sashiko stitchers who come to my live streaming workshop or Instagram, they are one of those. They like stitching. They would be doing Sashiko even when Sashiko becomes non-trendy. And I sincerely hope that those people who enjoy doing itself without specific purpose are going to be the main characters of this trend, those who should be standing on the stage. On the other hand, in the other category, there are people who likes the outcome or result of saying that they like Sashiko or some specific things. So because Sashiko has become like a trend, by saying that they like Sashiko, they can get some specific outcome, which can be the followers, which can be the sales increase, customers, you name it. But they don't necessarily like to be stitching Sashiko much. Of course, there are people in between. But those who like something outcome, who when they like that something else besides that, the culture or practice itself can be twisted greatly. And then when they focus on the process, they may shift that tangible, let's say, process with a specific purpose, may change what it is very, like, greatly. Sashiko is for the stitching practice for those who either had to stitch for their survival or who likes to stitch. And that's how simple I want to keep it. But unfortunately, some people don't really like stitching, and I was there once. I did not like stitching when I was, teenager, and I was using Sashiko to make business out of it. So I know how it feels and how necessary it is too. But because it is almost dying culture, well, I don't want to say it's a dead culture yet. It's not past yet. Sashiko is not the past yet. Some people discuss as if Sashiko is in the past. Like, that's probably the last week's conversation. We still can create some ooh, we can still make stuff. So I don't want to make it like a, past. At the same time, I don't know if Sashiko is still alive. It's not dead, I hope. But I see the possibility of somebody else, not probably me. I am already kind of on the other side. Let's say in the future, if somebody wants to know what Sashiko really is, they may have to go through the big revival without specific mentor or somebody who they can actually learn from. It may be like 50 years from now, 100 years from now. I don't know when, but the wave itself is quite huge that I recommend everybody watching this to copy it, and that has been my 6-7 years. And as a result, I'm pretty proud of myself for that. Many people enjoy Sashiko the way we do. Same thimble, same way to stitch, same rhythm. Before 2016, some books talk about the thimble, but there were no books written in English explaining, or not even in Japanese much. But there were no books in English explaining how to use the thimble before. So I'm pretty proud of what I did. At the same time, because of very superficial learning, and that learning itself is gonna kind of somebody learn from somebody who learned something from learn something. Huh? It's not if somebody learned something who copied what I was doing, then it's gonna be like a messenger game. And something important may be lost. And I feel like it's very, very, very getting simplified. And it's missing something. And that something is not like teachable to the mass public. It has to be more like personal. I have to probably understand who they are. And then even after that, I don't know if I can pass it down to that. But because the techniques and also designs are widely available, something important is not really focused on it. And I am very sad and I'm concerned about it, but there's nothing I can do on that. Because that's what they choose. So well, I mean, there's no way to make this Sashiko trend process-oriented, yet process itself is without the purpose. So it is. Well, that's how. If I were to not too afraid of saying something radically, that's how it got twisted in the first few years of this trend. I was there probably, but I didn't have enough voice to speak up back then. I was very naive. I didn't know what was going on too. But because of the initial movement was quite simplified. It's not because of them, it's because of both. It was very unfortunate. But I don't know what I can do. I mean, this is a great way to leave it behind, and you who are watching today are gonna be part of it. So I am not gonna be worried about losing it completely. At the same time, you are very much the minority side. The majority don't care about those stories behind. And when I say they don't, they really don't. You're here because you care about it or you enjoy those background. And you're not only one, there are quite many people, but still they are minorities. The majority really don't care the stories behind those words, which is very, for me, it's quite interesting because I would care. I think I would care, especially if I want to keep enjoying the practice. It is easy to put grid in a book, not as much personal connection unless maybe you write poetry. It is really true. And that's what publishers kind of focus on. I don't, if let's say, if I were to publish a book, it would be published by the publisher who are gonna write a book about Sashiko in the craft section. And when you go to the craft section of the bookstore, you expect to get a book written about how to. We do not expect to purchase, to find a poetry book in the craft section. So as the result, they don't, without putting a lot of how to as the main contents, the book will not be published because that's not what the audience are expecting. It may have more, oops, I hope I didn't scratch the lens. Oops. What was I talking about? There's a possibility that there's the possibility that one may be able to sell more copies because of the poetry perspective and how-to side. But that can be, yeah, that's good. But your book can be what you want. I'd read Sashiko Diary of Sword. Yeah, so if the publisher finds me sort of interesting, I would publish. I'm not denying the publication itself. I just happen to not to be able to have the publisher who understand what I want. I mean, I had some offers to publish a book, but they really wanted me to write how-to book. And I'm pretty scared of writing how-to book in my second language without specific explanation. So I kept saying, no, I'm sorry, but this is something I cannot compromise. So that's one way. And yes, I might be able to. Yeah, that's the I did not want to compromise. The only compromise I did was the domestic course by saying that I will not mention about the most important things in Sashiko, and I will direct people to my online class where I teach that most important things. And they said it's okay. It's the introduction, so one can kind of overview what I do, yet, and they might be able to get what they want. At the same time, if they need more personal help, they can access to the other Sashiko class I have. And I had many opportunities many opportunities to talk about it. So domestic course has become quite good summary of my technique and philosophy, like in a good portion. I wouldn't be able to make that happen in the book media, I think. Self-publish. Well, self-publish it has been always my option, of course. But well, it's excuse. I will say that I will say it loudly. It is an excuse. I should have been doing that. I will. This is just purely my excuse to be lazy or focusing on stitching. But I would like to stitch, and I would like to make ends meet somehow, and I would like to share a little bit of everything every day. Or book is a little too slow, and I'm kind of bleeding. Book is about being healthy by eating better or taking supplement. What I need is a little bit of painkiller right now. So by sharing the stories on the Instagram or other, like including this live streaming, it's more like punctual, acute. So I prioritize that. Like, if I stop, I probably can do those self-publishing if I stop doing everything for a few months, but that does not make sense. I would like to do both. And at the same time, I want to cook for my family. I like to clean sometimes. And when I offer the Japan tour, I would like to make sure that that's the best experience for anybody who joins. So yeah, it's simply an excuse. Well, actually, series of excuses, but I hope it's gonna happen one day. I have so many Google Doc copying all the Instagram post and everything. So it's the matter of editing, organizing it. It's just gonna take some time. Are there any Sashiko poetry, philosophy, lifestyle books in Japanese? I don't think so. I don't know, but I don't think so. And there are some books focused on the design of Sashiko, how to apply Sashiko to their lives. But there are not that many people who have been doing Sashiko for decades who wants to share their philosophies out. I don't know. Like, they don't really value what they think because most of them truly believe that what they did and what they do are very, very ordinary things. And no matter how much I explain that your ordinary can be somebody's extraordinary, so please share your stories. It takes some times and more importantly, trust from them for me to share something like that. So, well, I was one of those few years ago. 6 years ago, I did not know what to teach. Although they asked me to teach Sashiko, my first question is, what is the information you don't know about Sashiko? Because, I thought that everybody could use this. Like I thought that everybody would be able to stitch somehow at some level. It's kind of crazy, but I think that's how my ordinary was. But yeah, I will. At the same time, when it comes to, I don't want to. It might be a little bit of too much, but when it comes to philosophy or poetry or lifestyle books about ordinary practice, I think it's going to be very difficult to translate. The translator has to really understand what they're translating. So it can be hit and miss. So for example, I keep saying this translation, but the William Small Skelly in London translated Mingei not as the unknown craftsman or nameless craftsman or artisans without names. But those are the kind of direct translation of Mingei. Mingei can be the folk art. At the same time, the Japanese introduced that as the unknown craftsman, and that's actually the book title of one of the like a Bible for the Mingei movement, written by Yanagi Soetsu. So unknown craftsman is one very good translation, but I felt that it's not conveying all the information. Unknown and Namonaki was kind of different. So Namonaki shokunin. So the direct translation can be the nameless, unknown artisan, unknown craftsman. But the curator in the William Small's gallery did a fantastic job. Instead of saying that unknown or nameless, she explained that Mingei is the art without heroes. That is fantastic translation because it can be interpreted as that art without any heroes, or it can be interpreted as the art with everybody is the hero. And that kind of translation is really necessary when it comes to the translation. And they are people who can translate it. And I think we will call those translator as like a cultural translator. Google, ChatGPT can translate very, very well. And AI they may take place of those cultural part as well. But when it comes to the Japanese and English, not even basic, profound understanding of these two differences is very important. But that goes to another reason that I do not teach in other language. It's like Spanish, Portuguese, French, other languages. Many ask me to translate what I do, and Domestica did a fantastic job. But when it comes to teaching very core of what I do, I am afraid of spreading the information that I cannot check. In English, I can check. And if the translation is done by somebody who I can communicate fully in English, I don't check it. I trust them to do it. But unfortunately, I don't have that many who I can trust. That requires a lot of communication, a lot of skills, a lot of result. So it is quite difficult. So it would be hard for the Google Translate to get it correct. It will not be incorrect. It will be always correct, but something may be kind of cut it off. Google Translate or those machine translate will not make it wrong, but it may miss something. And that's all I'm saying about Sashiko introduced in English. They use they use dictionaries and they translate it, but it's not wrong. Like they are not wrong at all. Any books published in English that I read aren't wrong besides some. They're not wrong, just they're not enough to fully explain that. Is it like a collective creative is that a word for that? Is it like a collective creative collective creative consciousness? I think I understand it, but I don't know what it is. In Portuguese here. Yeah, I know that they're big demand. And I hope that one day those who speaks, those different languages, the mother language, will spend a lot of time with me. And then if they decided to teach on behalf of me, I would be happy to, I don't issue the certification. That's one way to start the hell. If I start issuing the license, either I need money for very specific reasons right away. Let's say that I have no idea. I lost a lot of money because of something that I need to make money next month, next year. Then I probably will start issuing the license or certification. But that's probably the time I should stop doing Sashiko. So it's not gonna happen. Certification is one way to open up a completely different world, which is against what I'm explaining based on the process, product, vehicle, and goals. It all mess up that. So that's a really different thing. But one day, if I can have somebody who I can trust. Well, if I see them, it's kind of, subjective. But if I see them stitching in a rhythm, I can kind of tell if they understand what I'm trying to say. It's quite interesting. I can tell a lot about them by looking at their stitching. It's like the, what do you say, palm reading? Or face reading, whatever you call it. It's more like a fortune telling kind of thing, but just a second, I have to go back to the comment. It will be very literal if you use an old translator. It will be. So, I will explain one very, very, very famous kind of misinterpretation, which I've been explaining. This is the problem, but sorry, the Minge is like a collective creative. It's a collective. I don't know if we consider it creative. The Minge has, please look up online. I'm not gonna go into Minge because Minge is a little scary place to talk about. I am not well educated to talk about it, so I would like to be outside of it. Only things I can say now is that I like her translation, Art Without Heroes. There's so many experts to talk about it, so I'm gonna, leave them. I don't want to get into that. But Minge has 8 criteria to define what Minge is. And one of them is kind of assembly line. It's more like before it's not a machinery. It's before the industrial revolution. But in the Minge, in order to make one item, the work has to be divided into many steps, and in each steps they had heroes or craftsman. So one product has many craftsmen in it, but each craftsman are nameless. So it's probably not creative. I don't know the core consciousness. Well, probably yes, core consciousness, but it can be said so because they share the same spirituality or same beliefs for that matter. But that description may be misleading to something. It's not creative thing much. If you on Patreon, just Google the Minge. I explain that somewhere. Like it's a heck of a long article. If you cannot find it, please let me know. I may have given up. I cannot make it public because it's so scary. I never talk about Minge in Japanese, and neither in English. No, that's I'm pretty scared of it. As I would say never, and I will never talk about Japanese quilting too. I am not qualified, educated, and not even close to talk about it. So I will leave it completely. I'm nobody for that. Nowhere. I can talk about the quilting that I encounter in QuiltCon or the other, quilting event, but that's about it. That is even a little bit scary. I had a interview on the quilting magazine in Japan, and that was a little bit of too big of jump. Nothing happened, but a little bit of too much stretch, too big of a stretch. Chasing a thread. Are we gonna start the new cult? Not a cult, but new rituals. Every year we have to exchange the thimble. I kind of made a joke that it's like a cult, but I use the new thimble when I teach though. And I usually give it to somebody who helped me. Like, this is like a little trick, but I use new thimble. I have my thimble in my room and it does not go anywhere. It does not travel with me. So when I teach, I use the new thimble, and usually I do not bring him back home. Like QuiltCon is a very good example, but QuiltCon, I would usually need a bit of help to clean up. And there are usually some people who ask me for the help, who offer the help. And if that happens, I usually, if I have enough, let's say if one person helped, I would leave it with her or with him. So it's not about spirit in it, but it's more like the ritual that I have. New needles. Well, I'm sorry. I have a set of needles for the traveling, so I don't really change that when I teach. But for some reason, thimble, I use the new one. I don't know why. It's not that expensive. Thimble itself is $10, $9 or so. So it's okay to offer to have the new one for the workshop. Thimble superstition. I don't know, but Ring has a lot of superstition things too, right? Ring, Lord of the Rings, ring, wedding rings, engagement rings. So maybe something might be there. Well, yeah, without this thimble, we cannot do any Sashiko stitching, so that probably will help. And we really appreciate those technologies that we don't have to make thimble from scratch. Probably the current trend is to make thimble from the scratch because that's more eco-friendly, more fun probably too. But that's great. That's great, and that's how they started. They were using the stone back then to like they make a kind of pocket. I have it somewhere, but that like I may have it here. I just had a workshop online. Nope, here. Nope. So they make like a pocket with the fabric and then they put the stone in it. So that's one way to use thimble. But I have, we have technologies. We have a very much, I would say, privilege to have this kind of thimble. So I keep finding my thimble in the wrong place because I have been forgetting I have it on lately and then take it off. So something else. That happens. But my recommendation is not to do that. But I mean, we all forget something, and we all lose something, so it's okay. I wouldn't say it's okay. I should not. It happens, but I shouldn't. I probably shouldn't say it's okay. Please be careful. It should be the message as the one who tried to. Yeah, that'd be fun to have the AirTag thimble. Well, my wife can't find me anywhere because I sometimes don't carry my phone, but I usually have the thimble. So yeah, I stopped carrying the phone. It's crazy. I stopped carrying the phone for some reason. Too much information. Hmm? Forgetting the large thimble is? Oh, sorry, I did not get that comment. The size of thimble is quite important too. It shouldn't be too big. Well. We all have our issues, right? I think it's because I was raised in a family that we couldn't lose the needle. It was very, very, very big deal that when I lose the needle. Yeah, it was a very big deal every time. So losing the needle in the store can be quite bad. It's punishable for that matter. I would be punished for doing that. Losing thimble is relatively okay, but losing the needle was very big deal because we were the manufacturer. We were making this Sashiko item. Let's say that this can be stitched together as the pillowcase or cushion or, a part of the jacket. If I forget the needles somewhere here, and then if they make the item, like end product, and of course we had two people to check the needles with the metal detector to make sure that there are no needles inside. And we also had a product insurance or something like that. Product PI, product insurance. But it's not really okay to leave needles in the product we sell. So it was quite big deal. I mean, if it was done in the assembly line, it can be controlled pretty well, but it was just by our hand. So it was a very big rug in the sewing room. Yeah, tatami was quite good for that purpose. It kind of shines on tatami. My mother was a dressmaker. You learned to shuffle your feet in case dropping pins. Yeah. So those are the kind of wisdom that we want to keep it to the next generation. I don't know how many people are gonna use the needle and pins in the future. In the pace of this, like I have to admit, I don't know if I would have studied English with this. Like, I don't use ChatGPT when I write English and Japanese, but I have to admit, I may start using that. It's super good. I don't use my brain. I used to use my brain, and I still use my brain to write it, I think, but I have to admit, it's really good. I don't know. It's scary. I would like to say that I would not use it. I would stick with the running stitch. But when I have to read long emails, that summarizing is very helpful. And that's the world we're living in. Listen, have been forgetting where I have thimble often too. It happens. I guess it's the kind of common things as the stitcher. Probably the bathroom, it may be the best place to find thimble. I may have one or two in the bathroom too. Like you realize that you have thimble while you're washing your hair, and then it's not comfortable to wash your hair with a thimble on, so you take it off, put it somewhere nearby the shower, and then completely forgot about it. You won't probably put the thimble before the underwear, so I am a visual effect artist and I use ChatGPT as a giant software manual. It is pretty helpful. I have to admit, it's gonna be the next new normal. It might not be the ChatGPT. It probably will be the ChatGPT, but AI will be something like the next internet kind of thing. We will use it like without question. It's gonna be our normal. If anyone asks, the thimble is jewelry. Yeah, I don't wear the wedding rings, right? So my spouse, my wife always say that I have so many spouse over there. This can be the kind of ring for the, you know, you don't know. Yeah, that's kind of joke. I notice the thimble when I am on the bus walking on the street. In the bus might be a little bit of problem because it's outside of your house. Probably put it in the pocket or something. And the robot will take over our life one day. AI will take over our life. And that's probably the happiness to us too. That's the world of metrics, and that's probably not bad. It may not be that bad. Okay, but I stopped using my brain. I kind of feel like my brains are not functioning when I use those AI. And I have to admit, when I went to the college with this AI, I don't know if I would have studied or not. Well, it's, what if? Do people get Sashiko tattoo? I have never heard of Sashiko tattoo for that matter. Well, people may get like a geometric. Sashiko is not word for the patterns. Sashiko is not for the patterns. So if you consider this as the Sashiko patterns, that's not your problem. That's others' problem who is teaching Sashiko, but that's not. That's one of the wrong information. Sashiko is not the word for the pattern. So, but I don't know anybody who is getting the geometric patterns tattoo. As you said, like it's not really the, good thing, or it's not recommended to get a tattoo in Japan. But that even being said, it's it may be a little strange. But there's your Sashiko Tattoo Studio in Canada back in 2016. Right now, there's so many stores who sell Sashiko items, and there's so many magazines talking about Sashiko, a lot of articles, a lot of websites talking about upcycling, visible mending, you name it. Like last 5 years, the Google search engine has become like, it's almost impossible to get higher rank, and so many competitors right now, right? In 2016 or 2017, that Canadian tattoo studio was the only competitor I had when they Googled Sashiko. Everything was kind of like outdated website. They existed, of course. There are a lot of information exists on the internet, but when we come to the active website, like updated has like the website with ongoing update. That's how I get to know the tattoo studio. I have never visited. I have never said hello, but I thought that was cool, and that's why I strongly remember that. But yeah, I don't know if no, I don't think. There are not that many people who have the geometric patterns as a tattoo. As far as I know, usually gangsters have tattoos, but the young people have started King Fog getting them. Yeah, I do have one too, so I have tattoo, and usually, usually the public place says that you cannot enter those public bath or public place sauna if you have a tattoo, or even tattoo stickers. You cannot go in. But there are places that you can go in if you hide your tattoos with those tattoo hiding sticker or something like that. Not everywhere. So you might want to check that. But I do. If this tattoo is the size of this big, let's say like an iPhone size, it's hideable, and then you can enjoy the hot spring and stuff. At some places, not everywhere again. So it is more common. I do. I have one, and many other friends has one, or full body. It's kind of outdated. I understand. I respect their, rules and policies, but it's kind of outdated idea that those with tattoos are kind of outrageous outsider. No, how do you call that? Like outlaws. Those who do not follow the laws. Oops, I didn't know what to do it. Well, so what was I talking about? Tattoo, right? James Dean. Okay, wow, has been 1 hour already. After I stitch this line, I will finish for tonight. My back hurts for some reason. What did I do? I mean, I'm getting old, but what did I do today? My back is a little bit in pain. Oh, it's gonna be pretty busy September. I will do the live streaming for the first week, and then we will have the time change, right? Yeah, time change to the winter time. Well, which is not gonna probably impact those who are watching it from our time zone, but it's gonna be a big impact for those who are in Japan. Anyway, then I will be in Japan on 14th. I will leave here on 13th, though. 13th. So it's gonna be one, well, busy yet another big challenge. I don't want to, I don't want to admit that it's a big challenge to go back to my own country, Japan, but it's not that easy. There are reasons, and I will explain the reasons later on. But did I sneeze and my back hurts? It could be that. It could be that. Yeah, like I'm 42. You 40? I am 42, exactly 40. No, 41. Oops. I just had a birthday a few weeks ago, so I'm not exactly 40. Oops. I don't remember exact age anymore. I try my best to remember it, but oopsie. Wow, you are so young. I mean, 40 and 39s are not that young, but that's not, well, that's the age probably. I usually, like when I was a child, I usually and most likely hang out with very, elderly people from my age. I think I'm getting into that age now. So I will see more younger people than I am. I turned my head too fast and my neck hurts for a week. Yeah, it sucks, but that's the life. That's the life that we made fun of when our parents were that age. Like my daughter jumping on my shoulder my back can be like, fatal damage. This summer turned 40, so you're the senior. Should I talk more formal? Sure, but at the same time, then I have to talk more formal to everybody else, so. Well, that may be something Japanese, though. I usually talk very formal when I talk to somebody elder, senior. Even 1 year is a big thing for some reason. I hang out with cold and grannies. I am still the youngest in the friend group. I think that's really important to keep those things. I think I'm still youngest in the workshops or well, not a youngest, but majority of the participants are probably older than me. And that's a very big, privilege to have. Sometimes they are really, skilled and everything. Oh, damn it. Sorry. I'm sorry, I cursed. I curse a lot with outside of the live streaming, but I'm trying my best not to curse it on the live streaming. Simply because I'm speaking the second language, I should respect the proper language as much as I can. Like if I start swearing, I probably use less vocabulary, and I can probably make conversation better by swearing, but that's a little bit of different story as the foreigner to this country. Young. I'm very happy though to see those younger generations jumping into this field. I get really excited when I see somebody younger. And quite frankly, I enjoy seeing my same age group, like, born in late 70s and early 80s. We are the kind of like generations of experiencing both. We had a childhood without internet, kind of. We had the internet when we were sort of already treating the parents like an idiot, right? So we knew the computers. We are the generations explaining what internet is to the parents. So we kind of both experienced that. And because of that technologies, I think not many people we had a choice to continue like art and crafts or internet. Like, many of my friends went to the tech industries. I was about to go. I went to finance instead. So it is quite good or happy to see those same generations in this field too. We're the new grown-ups. We're the new grandpas and grandmas. Yeah, probably so. And that's okay. That's good. That's a good thing. We are the elder millennial. I cannot say that word. Millennials. We know how to do the math without a calculator. Really glad much of my childhood is not the internet. Yeah. Like I had internet. We had internet in the high school and college, time. I think we had a Skype. Did I have a Skype in the first year of the college? Well, but I still remember using the telephone card to call to Japan to my mom. Probably we didn't have this strong connection to go to Skype, to go through the Skype. Later on, we are pretty sure that we started using the Skype. Skype, not the Zoom, Skype. Oh my. But the SNS was toward the end of the college. Facebook was very much Facebook was limited to the college kid, right? Back then. And you had to have the mail account ending with edu. And I had one, so I'm probably very early adapter for that Facebook. I don't use it anymore, but Well, we've been through a lot. We have been through a lot, and I'm so glad that we end up with this very not primary, primitive joy. Just let me check the comments. Wait, I didn't take it as far as being the new grandparents. Well, not yet, I guess. Sorry. Craft is a good antidote to an ever-growing technology-infused life experience. I agree, and then that's probably the kind of kickback from those tech-focused, success-focused trend. And I understand that Sashiko can be the solution for many things, and that's what they're kind of looking for, this keyword to express what they're gonna sell. And it is 100% true that Sashiko can give us the relaxation, meditation, kind of similar meditation, mindfulness. But, well, and yes, we can use the Sashiko for that purpose. But teaching Sashiko as the medium, vehicle to make that happen is wrong, because it's not. Sashiko is not the vehicle to make that happen. That's why I keep saying, like, I don't like, please don't mix Sashiko and Zen or Sashiko and mindfulness too much. So it is perfectly fine to personally enjoy Sashiko for that purpose, because it brings you the mindfulness and slowness. But that's not what it is. That's really not what it is. So I hope that this message will be somewhat left. When we focused on the mindfulness, slowness, relaxation, then we only cut one piece of Sashiko and then define that, label it as the full picture of it. There were many Sashiko artisans who did not do Sashiko for that purpose, and I do not want to leave them behind. Yeah, that's a little bit insulting, actually. Disrespect for those who had to do Sashiko stitching, if we just focus on the kind of like, brighter, not even brighter side. I don't want to make it too positive about it too, because that's how we, the people today's world, can define what Sashiko is. But my goal is to make sure to leave as many information as possible behind, so this can be left behind somewhere to be as a reference. Okay. Oh, you were student at UC Davis. Wow. I wasn't that smart. I went to the party school, well, which gave me this English, so I am perfectly fine with that. MySpace. Napstar? I thought that was gonna change everything. Napster, right? Netster? The music thing. And LimeWire. Wow, that LimeWire. Wow. It's the wildness. Wildness of that. No law, no nothing. But that was a fun time. And I think we all have those good moments for what we went through. But I think it's nice to have similar generations as well. It's not only that, generation is not gonna define what we do. Anyway, thank you so much for coming to the Sashiko Live streaming on Thursday night. I hope you can come back next Thursday as well. Bring some Sashiko stitching, and I want to make sure to have a place to stitch together, to be like a basho to be. If you could press the like button, that would be very much helpful for me to keep this channel healthy. Well, I had some announcement in the beginning. We do have some events coming up, and I will be no workshop, no class in 2024 besides the online class, no in-person left at this moment. So please try to plan that for the 2025. All right, I hope you have a good night, and I will see you next Thursday. Have a good night. Bye bye.